Here's a problem. Not all believers, not all who call themselves Christians, know how to deal with it. That's why we have problems, right? Oftentimes, people whenever they come to church, they would see these problems and these conflicts. They would go and they would find another church. But guess what? Every single church here in this world, there will be conflicts. If you're looking for one, guess what? You cannot find one. One way or another, you will see that. And what we need to find is a church that deals with the cause and apply the biblical cure conflicts. And that's why I am teaching this. That is why I am preaching this. Because in decades, many decades, I have seen how the lives of makers, the one who would resolve conflicts, and they will be called the children of God. If you're looking for a proof that you belong to Christ, that we belong to Christ, that we are children of God, there's one thing that we need to learn and we need to do, is to deal with conflict, address conflict, and resolve conflict. Let there be peace in our lives. Amen.
Amen.
If every one of us know this, have learned this, 99% of the church problems will be gone. You know that? 99% of your family's problem will be gone. 99% of your work problems will be gone. Because many of the problems that we encounter in this world has something to do with conflict. A recap from last Sunday is that quarrels and fights among you, don't they come from the evil desires at war within you? In other words, whenever there's quarrels, whenever there's conflicts, there are some desires, conflicting desires, even more evil desires, ungodly desires. You said in verse 2, you want what you don't have, so you scheme and kill to get it. You are jealous on what others have, but you can't get it. So you fight and wage war to take it away from them. You don't have what you want because you don't ask God for it. And even when you ask, He said, you don't get it because your hearts, your motives are wrong. You want only what will give you pleasure. We found out last Sunday that there are three main desires of feel, which is pleasure, and the desire to be. Pride, the desire to become somebody. And oftentimes, whenever we don't get it, James said this, that is where we start fighting. Are you here with me? And the question is this, why are this desire not getting fulfilled? He also addressed that too. Why can't I get what I want? What can I get, the things that I desire, my heart, I believe that God says that He will provide all my needs according to His riches. That is true. Your needs, not your wants. He addressed this in the succeeding verse. You do not ask because you are asking the wrong person. There's only one who could give us those desires, which is God. You do not have because you do not ask God. And even if we ask, and I know all of us ask, you do not receive it because you ask with wrong motives. Amen. And I know we have learned that. We know the cause why we have conflicts is because of conflicting desires. And today I would like to focus more on the cost of conflict and the cure. I hope that we would learn how to apply the cure. You know, the good thing is with the Bible is that He does not only address the problem and show us a problem, He also shows us what is the cure for this. There are three things I would like to mention when it comes, whenever there's ongoing and unresolved issues in our lives, when there are ongoing conflicts. It would cause suffering and it would cause incarceration. These are the things that would always bring whenever there are unresolved conflicts. It causes separation. You know, just like what happened with Abraham and Lot, his nephew. You know, they're buddies together. They grew together. They you and me. Or between your herders and mine. For we are close relatives. You know, even close relatives, close friends. Conflict will happen whenever something is not aligning. He said, is it not the whole land before you? So let's part company. When you say, let's separate. I'll go to the left. If you go to the left, I will go to the right. If I go to the right, if you go to the right, I go to the left. Conflict. That's why in our nation right now, we have the left and the right. They're not holding their hands upright. They keep on conflicting each other. Right? Whenever there are unresolved conflicts, it could cause separation. Here in the U.S., we all know, I've heard that in every 2 marriages, one gets divorced. Why? Because of conflicts, unresolved conflicts. Unresolved conflicts between friends would turn them into enemies. Unresolved conflicts within the church would turn into division. Unresolved conflicts in the workplace would cost the company, you know, millions of dollars. I've read some statistics that, you know, trillions of dollars are wasted because of conflict in the workplace. You see, whenever there are people, there is bound to have conflict. Look at the people around you. There's conflict. And whenever there are unresolved conflict, it leads and it can lead to suffering. Conflict between Cain and Abel led to the murder of one brother. The conflict between Joseph and his brothers led them to sell their own brother, even to the point of murdering them. You know, which led to the suffering of this man named Joseph. Conflict, unresolved conflicts can lead to suffering. And the third results, the cause of conflict when they are unresolved. And I think this is perhaps the scariest one. Because this could last in a lifetime. It can also last in the next generations, where conflict causes incarceration. Incarceration means being in prison. Incarceration means being in bondage, where you actually loses your freedom to do what you need to do and even to live what is right. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 25-26, it says this. Jesus said this, settle matters quickly with your adversary. Quickly. Do not just delay it, do not ghost it, do not just ignore it. Jesus was saying, settle your conflicts quickly. Who's taking you to court? Do it while you are still together on the way. Time is of the essence. Or your adversary may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. You get incarcerated. And truly I tell you, you will not get out of it until you have paid the last penny. Unresolved conflict leads to separation. It could bring suffering. And the scariest part, it could lead to bondage, where your freedom to live, your freedom to do the right thing is actually taken away because of unresolved conflicts. That's a too high price of a cost for us not to deal with this. Amen. That's why James focused on the entire chapter just to deal with this. It is my hope, brothers and sisters, that when we come to a point that we have to deal with this, we know to apply the cure. Do you know what's the cure?